looking forward to?
Not at all. Invariably, the Nigerian worker is not a hungry person. It is government policies that drive the Nigerian worker to engage government in negotiations. Assuming all things are equal, there are no inflations here, there are no inflations there. There will be no need for this agitation. When the indices of development begins to dwindle based on government's policies that creates undue hardship, there is no other way than for labor to demand more. Government continue to expend money, huge sums of money, on certain things that the country feels it is not very, very necessary. And when the inflation index begins to increase, where you can no more buy soap for 500 naira, it is 1,500. A tablet of soap is going for 2,500. A bottle of oil is going for 1,000. Red oil, 1,400 naira. And all and sundry. School fees is increasing every day. And other domestic demands continue to rise. It means that government has not approached policies that are going to stabilize the economic market. Rather, it has induced policies that are going to create hardship. So there is no other way than to agitate for more. A civil servant is somebody who has left his home and maybe be living in an alien environment. You have to pay rent, you have to buy food, you have to transport yourself, you have to pay NEPA bills, you have to pay water bills, you have to buy gas, and all other logistics that are accompanied with his movement from his place to where he is. Therefore, some people will say the number or the percentage of civil servants or workers is very minimal. And you also begin to reason that there are other class of people who don't work. Yes. Those class of people who have not worked or who are not working have not gotten themselves engaged in an agreement with government. There is employment is an engagement. And that engagement means that whatever you are doing, you should consider the fact that you have given somebody a contractor engagement that needs the person to perform, to carry out his duties diligently and effectively too. Today, where you used to use 50 naira for transportation is about 300 naira or 400 naira. Now, the person who is compelled to do that is the worker. He must come to work. Somebody who is not working is not compelled to do that. He may stay in his house and trek where he wants to go. But a worker must assume duty as at when due. And there is specification in his conduct and character in where he's working. So it is government that is always forcing labor to agitate for more. If the policy drives of government are very positive and very enduring, nobody will be agitating for more. If you see that the federal government is buying Lexus cars, buying a lot of cars, doing this and that, and he is not concerned about stabilizing the economy of a particular country, it means that things are getting out of hand. And you know that the monetary policy is so important and crucial for you to attend or address issues that affect you. So as a worker, you become dependent on what governments give, because with that engagement, it becomes very difficult for you to get yourself engaged in other activities that is going to generate revenue for you. Assuming I'm working in Makwede here, I have left my village, I'm here and I'm working. I can't have land, I have to hire a house, I have to pay my rent, I have to transport myself from point A to point B where I'm working. I have to pay for NEPA bill, I have to buy water. So all these indices fall back on financial engagement. And if these things are fall back on financial engagement, it still falls back to the fact that you must have the wherewithal financially from where you're working to meet up with these challenges. However, the government, as a government, has not taken the steps necessary to ensure that the Labour is magnanimous to have accepted 70,000 naira. Because if you look at the rate of inflation today, we will work on percentile. Even if they are equating the cost of dollar to a naira, is on percentile. Banks give interest on percentile. And if Labour had insisted that they will work on percentile based on the rate of inflation, I think 450,000 wouldn't be enough to take somebody throughout a month. Labour has sacrificed for the purpose of ensuring that other segments of this economy does not crumble. Otherwise, they will have still stand still and engage government for a higher wage bill. And when these agitations come, most people think it's political. It is not political. Even in expenditure, it is political. Because if you have by taking the decision to buy one thing and leave another thing, it's still political. Political economy. Trying to choose what you feel that you can afford at the moment is political. Because if rice was a human being and you don't choose it, rice will grumble. If beans was a human being and you don't choose it to attend to it, it will also grumble. So the political connotations that people try to introduce and weaken the resolve of an engagement is not correct. Government knows that what the policies he has introduced have some lacunas, have some faults. Look at taxation. If you give somebody small thing and you pick, government will say, okay, no more tax for the civil servant. Because of the hardship, I have removed tax. Because of the hardship, I have increased your value of transportation, this and that. There will be no need for agitation for increment. But because government is not very sensitive to understand the difficulties that an ordinary civil servant is passing through, government at times evolve policies that could cause a lot of harm to the working class. The working class is very important because they generate the wealth. They create the wealth that is being expended by government. So government should also at all points in time try to engage labor to understand that this is the situation we are. When two good hairs, not just two good hairs come together, a better policy is generated for the well-being of the individual and the society in general. 70,000 naira minimum wage, they call minimum in the sense that no matter how bad it is, please just make this do. Labour has been very, very, very considerate, considering what is happening in this country today. If Labour had said 300,000, it wouldn't have been enough. Because when you begin to dissect what you take in a month and measure it correspondingly with the increasing inflation, you know that 70,000 cannot even buy you a bag of rice. A bag of rice is more than 70,000. You look at it. Maggi, a packet of Maggi is 1,500, 100 cubes. You have to buy palm oil. We are talking about eating. We are not going to the medics. You go to the hospital, you look at how much drugs. The cost of drugs today is alarming. So we pray that no civilian fall sick, no Nigerian fall sick under these current circumstances, because it is very, very devastating. Government should evolve policies that will turn around the fortunes and stimulate the economy of this nation, rather than evolving policies that will aggravate the already bad conditions that Nigerians are passing through, especially the civil servant. Somebody who has left his home is offering services to government, and at the end of the day, he is given pittings to take home with his family. It is quite unfortunate that Nigeria has found himself in this condition. Look at what is happening in this country today. For over 30 years, the railway industry has been down. People were employed who did not work for one day.
Okay, apologies to interrupt you at this
Yeah.
point, but we go along, as we go along, some of the issues we'll try to look at them better. But I'd like to take you back. Actually, Labour started the demand for a new national minimum wage, starting with 650,000 naira. They will later slash it down to the latest demand was about 250,000 naira. As a Labour leader, what do you think may have made Labour to go drastically to the point of accepting 70,000 naira, which is now approved?
Well, when you look at the human factor, at certain times when you are too stiff, people feel you are being influenced by other factors to take certain positions. And when you look at the general concept of living, it is not only the civil servant that is passing under these crucial circumstances. Labour may have considered the fact that the economy of this country cannot be crippled because government is hiding facts on financial generation. These facts are being kept very tight to their heart for fear of exposing in such a manner that people will know how much is being gotten. But all the same, Labour still knows because they work for the generation of this income, this revenue that is being generated. But government will ascribe certain factors in capital projects which they intend to do for the benefit of other Nigerians who are not civil servants. When they put these indices projectively, side by side, and they try to make it look as if Labour is not being considerate to look at these other factors. Labour, for the sake of Nigeria, sacrifices to ensure that the system works. Because at the end of the day, if they still insist on that 650,000 and government says it cannot pay, government will begin to draw certain privileges and certain initiatives they have made for capital development, which at the end of the day they will still try to blame Labour of being political about their demands. And I want to believe strongly that it is because of the average Nigerian that is not a civil servant that other factors of underdevelopment have characterized our very hard situation for now, that Labour said, okay, let us not cripple the man who is already crippling himself and allow things to flow. I think it is from that background that Labour said, okay, let's see that the minimum at the moment, at that instance, should be what government say we can pay conveniently and also engage on other capital projects that are not recurrent. So I think that is why it was like that.
But were you actually expecting these new minimum wage as approved to be around this figure, or by your projection you had a higher figure in mind?
By my projection, I had a higher figure in mind. I had a higher figure in mind, and you see, when you speculate your mind and the reality of ground that is being presented, either apparently or truly, comes to play. And for the purpose of not ensuring that the person who is complaining does not take advantage or undue advantage on your position, at certain times you just allow things flow. Because my projection would have been between 250,000 naira, at least minimum 250,000 per worker. Because those who are living in very urban areas like Abuja, Lagos, and other places, 70,000 cannot take them even transportation per month. Assuming you are going to work every day, just 1,500 or 2,000 times 30 days, you see that you will not drink water. You will only take air that God has given to you free, because pure water itself has gone up. Bottled water is now 300, 250 naira a bottle. So if you look at all these indices, I think 250,000 would have been better. But worse still, 100 and something, close to 100,000 would have been fair in what government has offered. However, as it is, government has said they will begin to review the minimum wage after 3 years because government is looking at its own capacity to stimulate and regularize the economic force. If not, you will not say you will begin to project trying to review after 3 years. So it means you don't have any plan on ground to see that you address the economic difficulties or the economic inadequacies that has prompted this current situation. Because if you make a projection of 3 years, it means that you are not even ready to address the problem that has negated a stabilized economy, not only for the civil servants and Nigerians at all.
And that is where the problem lies as well. Like you pointed out, with the government position of accepting to review it every 3 years, is this problem addressed once and for all? Because the tendency of government reneging on this promise may be there. But walk us through what you make of the whole promise by the government.
Well, it is a weakling promise. If federal government knows that he had a problem, he has economic challenges, he will have set up a template to address this thing within the 3 months or 3 years, as he has said, in such a manner that before the 3rd year, there will be no need for any agitation for increment. What you used to buy for 5 naira has become 2 naira. Your transportation, which is currently at 15 naira, will have gone to 10 naira. So there will be no need for any agitation. Government does not have any plan. There is no template that government has put in place projectively in 3 years to see that at that point in time of assessment, he must have make up the deficiencies or the defects within the economic framework. There is no plan like that. That is why there is projecting that by 3 years we will still be bad. So therefore, at that time we will still give you more. And another 3 years will be worse. So we will still add another negotiation. So there is no country that will grow when the recurring expenditure is overweighing the budget of that nation. Because recurring expenditure has no investment for development. It's individualistic. So government should put in place a template in such a manner that within 3 years, there will be no agitation for increment of salary. They will look at the situation whereby the economy will begin to weigh down. Prices of things will begin to come down. Production level will be more. We cannot be a consuming nation and then achieve anything. We must be productive. So when a nation is not productive, is only consuming, you have this type of situation which is on ground. Government already has accepted defeat by saying in the next 3 years it will be worse. So how to add? Another 3 years we're going to add because we know that we don't have any template on ground to address the issues, the inadequacies we are passing through today that has led us to give you this in the interim.
Okay, so at the moment, you are questioning the sincerity of the government to make this review happen every 3 years as it is the federal government has already stated.
I am not a person. Federal government has marked himself low. Federal government said, in 3 years' time, I will not be able to stabilize the economy. So there will be the tendency that I will still add money to what is on ground because I know the inflation will still grow. If federal government has said, labor or Nigerians, within this 3 years' time, I will address the inflation rate and ensure that the average Nigerian and the civil servant is not experiencing the type of excruciating pains, economic pains today. We will know that the government has the interests of Nigerians at heart. And it has a template on what he intends to do within this time frame to ensure that all these factors, if not all, majority of the factors are being addressed. But if government has said categorically that after 3 years, we will review upward, it means that government is foreseeing that within this time frame, he lacks the capacity to look and address the challenges that Nigerians are facing today, and inflation will still increase.
Okay. Dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makudi. We are discussing the new national minimum wage as approved by the federal government and its economic implications. Leading us on the discussion is a former vice chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Benue State Council, Comrade Emmanuel Jumpa. And you can also participate on the program later at 10 o'clock by calling in on 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. You may send us a text or a chat on WhatsApp to the number 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. Log on to our website on www.igetradiotv.com to also listen to us from any part of the country and any part of the world as well. You may also access the listenership of Agate Radio on your Radio Garden app if you have it on any device at all. Follow our social media pages on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter, and you will listen to us on all these platforms. The program is streaming live there as well. And maybe before we open, the line will be available for calls at 10 o'clock, like I mentioned. Comrade Jumpa,
Yeah.
as part of the promises the federal government did make at that meeting with the organized labor, that the government will find ways to assist the private sector as subnationals. Subnationals here, that's the state governments to pay the minimum wage. Does the federal government need to actually assist the private sector and the subnationals before they can afford to pay the 70,000 naira minimum wage as approved?
Well, to generalize the private sector will be difficult to assess, because each private sector has its own capacity, and each private sector determines a workforce based on its output. Now, for federal government to assist the private sector is quite a good thing. There are indices that federal government can apply. For instance, most of the private sector will depend on certain facilities. Zero index interest rate, government can guarantee that. Say, all private sector, you will now, for loans you obtain, will give you a 5% or 7%, less than one digit. That would be great. Second, federal government should also look at the issue of tax. Overtaxation will affect most of these private sectors in trying to carry out their work, because private sector has its own ability within. Government has no hand in it, and when government regulates policies that are going to assist the private sector independently can develop. In developed societies, government play very minimal role in developing the country. It is the private sector that has the chunk of the money, but the policies in such countries are so very, very, very favorable. If in the private sector for today, you say, okay, central bank ensure that all importations that are coming for those who are producing should be on this rate. Because of this, you classify them under certain categories and give them those waivers. I think government policy towards this direction can help. Loan facilities, you have less than one digit, between 1% to 8% or 9% will also be favorable. Then dropping excessive tax on this private establishment will also help. If these indices are put in place, it's just like you are nursing somebody who wants to help, because the private sector helps government in its adequacies or where they cannot reach. They have a fundamental role for the development of this nation. So, in as much as federal government has made a declaration because of the revenue they generate, the private sector generates its own revenue within and caters for the welfare of its members they have employed. In the past, the private sector was paying higher. At that time, the economy of Nigeria was fine. The indices for loan acquisition was good. Power was a little bit more stable. And tax on their activities was also very low. But because government has failed over time to address these indices, it has grossly affected the private sector. Some depend on generating power on their own because the public's supply, NEPA or whatever they call it, power holding or power releasing, does not give out adequate power to stimulate their system. So they depend on generating power on their own, which is quite very expensive. Now, if government regulate policies that will assist these private sectors, I think they will help government the more. Because if private sector is working, I think almost 75% of the unemployed will have job opportunities to work, and there will be less load on the part of government. In the past, I remember in Kaduna alone, the refinery, the textile industries were there. Over 50,000 people were employed. In Lagos, the same. And other sectors. But for one reason or the other, these aspects have been left and everything has fallen back to government. The private sector is breathing through the nose, some are breathing through the ear, because the conditions to operate are becoming more difficult. High taxation, no power the generation they can use. They have to use their own means of survival. Well, may God give them the strength and capacity to reach out to the minimum wage of 70,000. But to say the truth, there is no civil servant on grade level 1 now that will earn 70,000. At least in the civil service, core civil service, you have people from grade level 4 and above for now. So we'll begin to talk about that. The 70,000 is a cosmetic pronouncement that has no bearing on the system. There is nobody on grade level 1, step 1, today as I'm talking to you in the service. So it's just a takeoff point. That 70,000 is a takeoff point. So the private sector may be affected if policies are not regulated in such a manner that they're going to give them favors. So that is what I think.
Okay, the subnationals. Let's talk about the subnationals. As when negotiations were ongoing, at a point it was mentioned that 62,000 naira was being considered as a new national minimum wage. The Nigerian Governors Forum actually took a position that it was unsustainable. Now that it is 70,000 naira, what do you see the subnational governments, the state governments doing with regards to paying this new national minimum wage as approved?
Well, when you go into negotiation is give and take. Some people will cry foul that I can't pay because they have not been briefed properly on what they get. At times, they will say, workforce is like this, workforce is like that, and things like that. When they begin to speculate figures, and they don't come out with realistic figures to back up the argument, it becomes speculative. That is why Labour was still insisting that you can pay. Show us your records. What do you have? What do you take for recurring expenditure? And what have you put aside for capital expenditure? These speculative figures they were talking about, in concrete terms, Labour will have seen reason with that. But because those figures were not there, they were just speculating and saying we cannot pay. How can you not pay? Why can you not pay? And those figures are not there. Neighbors say no. So what you are saying is just mere speculation. Let's push it ahead. And that is why Labour was able to convince government that with what they have, that 70,000 can still go through. And with either, by whatever means, they also saw reason that yes, what Labour has presented, at least they can't afford to do that. They can afford to do that. But now it has become a matter of law. So, since it has become a matter of law, the issue of can will not be there. It's the issue of complying with what has been agreed upon. It's an agreement. So, anybody who falls an agreement violates. And I think Labour will be up and doing to ensure that all governors comply with what is there. You have not started something and say you cannot do it. You have just seen somebody say you cannot do it. How? It is when you start something, you begin to go, and then you begin to have difficulties, then you begin to run back to complain. You have not even started and you say you cannot do it. It means that your intention initially was not to agree to it. For now, we have agreed on 70,000. Let them begin to implement. When they begin to implement, we'll look at the records. Labour will be magnanimous to say that, oh no, our government is running down. Let's even come back to 30,000. But when those records are hidden in such a manner that they become very secret documents for others to access, you, Labour too, also speculate. So when you come to the rules of engagement, speculation is always very good. Because when you speculate, the person does not have the actual figures he has on ground. He weakens his participation in that debate. So you who have speculative authority, that is, you can substantiate, it becomes reality. And that is why the situation is like that. Since some governors could not produce documents, financial documents to back up their position, Labour speculatively produced a speculative document that could work in tandem with 70,000. And that is why the 70,000 became a winning goal.
So as it stands, you are confident that the state governments, 36 of them we have in the country, will conveniently pay 70,000 naira?
I am not a governor. If I were a governor, I would have told you specifically that I will pay. But luckily for us, the Benue state government said, I will pay. He didn't say, I can pay. I am going to pay. I had already made my mind to upgrade the livings of Benue's civil servants. I will pay. He didn't say, I can pay. I will pay.
All right, that's fine. So now, but why is it difficult that the Nigerian Governors Forum has not come out with a categorical statement as a body now that the new minimum wage has been approved?
Well, I will not read their minds per se, but I will only speculate. You see, what happens in most states is very unfortunate, because the salary wage bill that most state governors handle, there is an apparent and relative figure. And if a governor has come on throne and he's carried away with the euphoria of being a governor and does not attend to the basic fundamentals of governance by bringing experts to look at certain figures or certain areas to update him on the reality on ground, they will continue to be talking as if they don't know what is happening. Because you as a governor, you have been on throne for 1 year, for instance. You are supposed to know what you get from the federal government, what you generate internally, and then you look at the recurring expenditure of your state and know its profile. If you don't have that, you only say, I cannot pay, and you don't have backup documents or backup figures to say that, it means that you are a weak governor. The governor of Benue State is not a weak governor because he has said, I will pay. He has looked at the records on ground, and he will not speak on behalf of other governors because maybe they have not met at their governor's forum to look at the pronouncement. So for him, trying to address his people who are very closer to him, he said, I will pay. Maybe he will carry this same message to the governor's forum and say, I can pay in Benue. I am not an oil producing state, but I will pay. So others too may lend in their voice. When 75% or more takes lead, it means that it has become obligatory for all governors to comply with the agreement that Labour has reached with the federal government.
All right, let's hope so. Now, to the general people, because beyond the workers, the issue of national minimum wage affects every other Nigerian. With 70,000 naira as approved now, do you envisage a spillover effect of even aggravating the already worsening inflation in the country?
Well, you see, when we have a patriotic nation, people don't look at what the other person is eating to begin to determine his appetite in his house. You look at what you can produce. The civil servant now, a Nigerian worker, for instance, we have the latitude to buy and address certain things, and that is going to stimulate the economy. If there is patriotism in this country, like in other countries that grow, people will not, because salary has been increased or wages have been increased, and begin to inflate. Government should also develop a policy to cushion the effect, because with the situation on ground now, the cost of food will rise. What is government doing about agriculture? Is there any way, is there any template to see that for now, while the common businessman is trying to increase price of food, government has a means of trying to ensure that market does not explode in prices? Is there any template like that? That becomes the responsibility of government to respond to such inflations. Because in the past, we have marketing boards that had used to check. At that time, government was producing. But now government is not producing. Government is only consuming. Even as government is consuming, government can still develop policies to ensure that it regulates the market. Things that your government sees that they are not available, you can do temporary importation, even if borders are closed, to ensure that within this time frame, while we are waiting a harvest from our farms, certain things will be put in place to ensure that they checkmate those who intend to increase prices of things arbitrarily because of the new minimum wage. If government does not check it, the fault is not that of labor. The fault, the responsibility of checking inflation lies with government. And that is another aspect that would identify or mark government or grade government's performance in trying to ensure that I have brought down inflation, I have checkmated this, I have checkmated that. Labor is there to give you the indices and statistics that you need to ensure that you go into force. Government does not force, labor does not generate policies. It's government that generates policies for them to implement. If government generates policies of checkmating inflation, labor will be ready to cooperate and ensure that these policies are followed to the letter. But if those policies are not there, it is government's fault. Government must make sure that it generates policies and advocate in a manner that people who are waiting to see that now that salary has been increased, the wages have been increased, they will not use the opportunity to create artificial inflation. It's government responsibility to generate policies that will address those areas. If he doesn't do it, well, we just have to swim in the ocean, in the turbulent water. We will all swim in the turbulent water. Government should be doing something about that at the moment. Otherwise, it will be unfortunate.
All right, because the attitude of Nigerians already, there were fears that once any pronouncement of an increment in wages made, prices will go beyond the roof, and they are already. So, like you pointed out, controlling the inflation based on policies that government will evolve is something that must be looked into closely. But again, beyond controlling the inflation, what can government do in the immediate to address the rising cost of living, even before the new national minimum wage is implemented?
Well, you see, before government will have made pronouncement of withdrawal of subsidy, certain things will have been put in place. Those things were not put in place. It was a political pronouncement that was erroneously made. At the time, government was not prepared to address the economy of the country. You say you withdraw subsidy of oil. There was no circular to that effect. Already prices went up. Now, who issues license to importers? Who issued license to petrol dealers? Who issued license to all this category of people who work in petrol industry? The same government. It means that something is wrong within the system. Government has failed, or government had failed to hold grip of the oil industry before making that pronouncement. Government will have set up a standard procedure and format to checkmate. Government will have know who and who is importing, who and who has oil wells, who and who is here, how much fuel was in circulation, how much production was being made. Government had no statistics on this and just went ahead and made a political declaration. So, since government had no statistics, the businessman is a wise man. He used that opportunity to advance his cause of generating more profit on something he had bought within a period of time. At that time that pronouncement was made, people bought PMS for less than 170 naira, and they took it to 800 naira. Government did not know how much fuel was in circulation at the time he made the pronouncement. Now, we'll have had buses will have been imported in this country or contracted in this country, not everywhere but in state capitals, in such a manner that even if the transporter wants to raise up prices because of the fuel something, it will have been like this. Government will have said, okay, now that we're pulling out this subsidy, it will have created depots within state capitals where government will have control to regulate the cost such that Nigerians will have access to it. They will not be left to chase the marketer who wants to fraudulently exploit Nigerians. All these things were not taken into consideration before the pronouncement was made. So the gullible Nigerians just took advantage of government's incapacity to think and put a template on ground and then went ahead to exploit Nigerians. So, as we are talking today, we will still have to look at it. Government said we cannot sell fuel like this. Government said we cannot build refineries. But Dangote is building a refinery. And then Jumpa is building a refinery. Now, all the refineries we had has become moribund. Why? It means government deliberately or out of whatever. Let me put it deliberately because this handover was made. We know that we have Warri refinery, we have Kaduna refinery, we have just begun to Port Harcourt refinery and things like that. Are they producing? If the refineries are producing, we will not be importing fuel to begin to talk of subsidy. If the money Nigeria has been paying on subsidy, if that money has been collated into one particular form, we would have built 10 refineries from that time, from 1990 to today. Why? Because some government officials have direct interest or direct link with what is happening in the oil industry. So they will lack that mental capacity to address those things because it may affect them. Well, the new government has come. He said, give me time. That time you were given, let's hope Nigerians don't die all. Because at that time they have given you rich, you will not see Nigeria. You want to manufacture Nigerians or have robots to take over. Because the hardship has gone beyond flesh, is striking the bone and even the bone marrow. So government has to act fast. At least, for now that they say we have a new minimum wage has come up, government should begin to lock leakages. These leakages are what is causing more problem in Nigeria. These leakages are what government has to plan in such a manner that they are all blocked, such that whatever is coming is being invested to turn around the fortunes of our economy. People will not sacrifice for the purpose of fraudulent people to exploit. That is a very bad thing. In other countries where we have situations that if somebody steals public utility, they kill him. They put you into the coolers. In Nigeria, those people are celebrated. Those type of people are celebrated. They are celebrated in church. They are celebrated politically. They are celebrated even in the environment, even when they are known. So, government has a lot of work to do. The Nigerian people have showed a lot of understanding with this government, with the federal government especially, because federal government has made a pronouncement. It has created general poverty, general sufferings, and the people are still enduring and say, we have given our government time. We are sacrificing for the government to take his feet. We are sacrificing for government to develop a plan, a developmental plan that is going to address the economy, that is going to address this and that. So the Nigerian people are very patient with this government. But I am also advising, let the Nigerian government not fear that the patience of Nigerians is not being checked. They are still counting days, they are still counting hours, and when it reaches an elastic limit, they may begin to revolt, which should not be fair. They have shown a lot of cooperation with this government, the federal government, because this policy was not generated in the state. It was the federal government that generated this policy and handed over to state governors, and we, as subjects of such states, are passing through it, but patiently, and still giving the government time because they give me time. Things will change. As you are saying, every day you wake up in the morning, you buy something at 500 naira, you go in the afternoon by 12, you get it at 700 naira in the same shop, in the same environment. By evening is 1,200. The same product that you bought in the morning, the same product you bought in the afternoon, the same product you buy in the evening has different prices in the same shop. Now, when you begin to look at things like this, you know that something is wrong somewhere. People are taking advantage of the fact that government has not developed a policy to regulate its market forces. Because they check and watch. They do it, nothing happens. They do it in the afternoon, nothing happens. They do it in the evening, nothing happens. And the following day, they replicate the same attitude and actions to cause unnecessary or undue pains to innocent Nigerians. And government is hearing all these things. Government should have fillers to all these things that are going on, and should create a means of addressing them. The sooner, the better.
All right. The sooner, the better. That's fine. Any moment from now, we shall activate the line for you to participate on the program, dear listener. If you are tuning in for the first time, This is Perspectives on iGate Radio. We are discussing the new national minimum wage and economic implications to it. Leading the discussion here in the studio is a former vice chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Benue State Council, Comrade Emmanuel Jumpa. You can call in on the program on 0814 335 9292. 0814 335 9292. Send us an SMS or a chat on WhatsApp to 0912 699 9404. Please remember to include your name and where you are sending in your message from. If you follow our social media pages on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, you will watch the live stream of the program there as well. Also, you may log on to our website on www.igetradiotv.com to listen to us from any part of the world. If you have your Radio Garden app on any device at all, you can also listen to iGate Radio. We'll start taking calls now and we'll continue the engagement as we go along. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, good morning, Nathaniel.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Nongu. I'm calling from Benue, local government area of Benue.
All right, good to have you join us on the program, Nongu.
Thank you very much, sir. You see, the topic you brought this morning, I was so happy on it. And when you know that Nigeria has been created since 1960 up to today, how many years Nigeria has been staying now? Okay, for the past years, everything has been lowered, most especially the price of the food items. And now, Nigeria is moving ahead. It is not a young. Nigeria has been set for old now. So the issue of a minimum wage, about the 70,000 naira, that is the lowest money to be paid the laborers. Okay, now, if you take 70,000 naira into the market, what can that 70,000 naira solve you? There is no way. So, the federal government, what the President Muhammad Buhari has been stated, that the minimum wage should be increasing like a 300,000 naira. That should be better.
The president currently, Buhari is a former president. The current president is Bola Tinubu.
Okay, sorry. Bola Tinubu. So you have to increase that money should be 300,000 naira. Go from the other outside the country. You will see the minimum wage is not lower as they should take to buy some food items. Like the guest, he has been saying, okay, now, if you say that you will go to Makodi, okay, from Sai to Makudi now, what can you spend before you reach to Makudi? It is not less than 3,000 naira. You understand? So, what the federal government is doing that, let him increase that money. That money is so small, please.
Okay.
Let him increase his own money that can favor the labor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teyira. I appreciate you for calling in. Thank you. Unfortunately, Labour has already accepted, so, but your point is noted. So if Labour had not accepted, we would think maybe it will count for now, but that may be after 3 years. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Nathaniel.
Good to have you on Perspectives.
Thank you very much. I am Engineer Sunday Akpa. I'm calling from Lobak, Makodi.
All right, welcome.
Your program is very interesting.
Thank you, sir.
Let me start it this way. I think the problem in Nigeria is lack of patriotism on the part of the citizenry, which make up the country and even the government that your guest is talking about. Somebody said that Nigeria is made up of various ethnic nationalities tied together by a rope of sand. In other words, people are more loyal to their ethnic nationalities than the nation as a country. Having said that, we talk about the minimum wage, that some people will say depend on workers. In fact, it's the whole country. More than 100 people can depend on one worker, either directly or indirectly. So increasing minimum wage is not bad. It's not only the worker, it affects the citizen generally. But the 70,000, me, objectively, I don't disagree with it. I'm okay with it. Because if you just increase it to any level, Nigerians, whom they are always ready to raise all the prices of things. Commensurate, they have increased minimum wage, let's put up prices. Just imagine, like some people, you just behind your house, they pluck mango, they bring it to the market. Mango that was selling maybe a fruit of 50 naira. They tell you it's 500 naira. When you talk, they say they have increased a dollar. What is the dollar there doing with the mango at your backyard? You bring a left to the market that they increase the I say dollar has increased. So we Nigerians, we need to be even patriotic. It's not just who is the government, by the way. We talk government is not doing the government. What are we doing as individuals? Like what American president said, do not think of what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Are we patriotic enough? Then for the security angle, why the price of things has skyrocketed is because of the insecurity in the country. When farmers cannot go to the farm, and it boils down to the ethnic nationality I was talking about. So people want to continue to, defend their own ethnic nationality and suppress others. And then, like in Benue here, that we depend on agriculture. When cattle will come to eat our crops, how do we go to the farm? There will be no food. So the prices will go high. When food is not available, the prices will go high. So let the insecurity situation be tackled headlong.
Okay.
When we do that, things will become all right. And then secondly, we as Nigerians, like I said before,
yes,
we have to focus, we have to be very patriotic.
All right.
We have to help the government. And then this fuel subsidy removal we are talking about, you see, Nigeria will forget too quickly. Can we not do, when the former governor was in place in Benue State, he was talking about insecurity. Nobody listened to him. You understand? And the thing has a snowball effect now. And in the whole country, insecurity has a snowball effect. The problem that was generated for the past government, in this present government, maybe I'm not a politician, I'm just an objective Nigerian. This present government is trying to tackle it, but we are thinking that every problem is the creation of the present government. No, it has been an age-long problem in Nigeria.
All right.
You can imagine what has been happening.
Thank you,
the
Sunday.
past regime since independence. It's a cumulative effect. So let us all join hands together and see what we can do. Advise the government constructively, and at the same time, we play our own role as individuals.
Thank you.
So that the country can grow. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Sunday, but thank you for your contribution. Nigerians should be patriotic, not to exploit fellow citizens just because 70,000 naira has been pronounced as new national minimum wage. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you, sir. What I want to say, my name is Live Well.
The name is who?
Live Well.
Okay, Live Well. Live Well.
Yeah.
Tell us your full name, please, if you may, and where you are calling from.
Live Well. I may not. I want to say my name is Live Well, and I'm calling today from Taka local government.
From which local government?
Taka. Yes.
Okay.
Taka.
Okay, all right. Live Well.
Yeah, let me be learning. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I want to say.
I will still ask you more. Which part of Taka in particular, if you may.
Particularly for Nanune.
All right, go ahead. Live Well.
Do you want to know whether I'm talking from Kaka or I know?
Okay. Live Well. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. You're burning my credit.
No, I'm so sorry. Please go ahead. Yes.
What I want to say is this. Nigeria have not seen what is this or she is seeing today, my dear.
Live Well. It does appear the network at your end is breaking. Maybe you should change position a bit so we can hear you better.
Okay, let me change position. Your things are changing.
You are coming.
Are you hearing me better?
Yes. Very well. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, my dear. I said Nigerians or Nigeria have not seen what is seen today. That we in Nigeria, or we that some people are existing in Nigeria, some people are living in Nigeria. What we are seeing today, my dear, if we survive that, do you know that 70, 80, 90% of our revenue, of our income, I mean individuals, especially the low income earners, are going for only food, what they will take into their mouth. Some people don't have much to eat nowadays. Nigerians are hungry, very much hungrier than they were before. And there is government in place. There are somebody or some persons that are in authority, and they are offering our workers 30 something thousand, 30, and now they have increased to 70,000. What can it buy? It is only for a week. A cup of gari, mudu of fish, and basin of is how much? Never cost the condiment to cook it. Are you going to rice? Go to some people don't. An egg is about 100 naira, 150 to 100 to 200. Transportation, as our Mr. Jumpa has said, I wish that we are jumping from good to better to the best. But now, I think we are jumping from bad to four to four. I want to tell us,
yes,
70,000 naira is nothing to write about. But our level figures have accepted it. I believe strongly personally there must have been compromised. Thank you, and I want to end it here.
All right, thank you, Live Well. We appreciate you. Anyway, that's an allegation that perhaps the labor may have been compromised into accepting 70,000. But we'll come back to that because as a labor leader, you may want to react. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir. My name is Joe Gundu. I'm calling from Sekumbi, Yacho, in Makuti local government area.
Okay, good to have you on Perspectives, Joe Gundu.
Yes, thank you very much. In summary, I want to tell you categorically that already I'm disappointed with that as of the side of labor. In summary, but I can do a lot of reasons.
Joe Gundu, the network at your end appear like it's fluctuating, if you may.
Hello, are you hearing me now?
Yes, a bit better.
I want to tell you that on the side of labor, I'm already disappointed with them categorically, because that tag price of 70,000 is too meager for any worker to make judicial use of it because of this present economic situation in this country. That is in summary. If I want to give you reasons, I can give you a lot of reasons. On the side of government, I'm fully aware that the successive government in Nigeria or successful government in Nigeria, they are not ready to look at the real plight of the common citizens in this country. They go on very high jeeps with a lot of money. If you see them the way they live, but America, if you look at them, you will just realize without asking them or saying anything that they are living in a very, very good condition in Nigeria. They don't want to take care of we the poor people. That is the reason why they are always at the winning side. And at times, if Labour continue to engage in this dialogue, some of Nigerian citizens will begin to look at it as if it is the Labour that is bringing confusion, why it will be the government that is always at the wrong side. Thank you so much. Because of time, I end my case there.
All right, thank you, Joe Gundu, for ending your case. But there again, Joe Gundu is stating his disappointment in Labour over what his term has been too meager. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you so much. Nathaniel and the guests in the house.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Brother Emeka Oji. I'm calling from Welfare Quarter.
All right, Emeka Oji, please make your submission.
Okay, well, some people are blaming Labour. I don't think it's their fault because it's a tripartite meeting that was held. And they tried their best. Well, I know that the amount they were asking for, no government or any other arm of the government would be willing to go that far because there are so many issues involved in payment of salaries and running the expenses of the government. So people should disabuse their mind because anything that happens, they think that the people at the aim of affair had been compromised or giving something at the side. That being said, it's not even the quantum of money That is the issue. Though the situation has necessitated people working to ask for increase in salary. I'm a pensioner as a matter of fact, and I was better off before this fuel subsidy removal. The little I was getting, I was able to take care of my family and I, and even support my aged mother until he died last year. But I tell you now, that same money cannot take me for more than 2 weeks. I have to be calling and disturbing my relations here and there. So to me, the best solution is to increase productivity. People have been hammering this issue on the head of insecurity. That is a major problem we are having. If only our government can concentrate on that issue. So we talked about that the other time when you discussed the issue of this creation of Ministry of Livestock. Me, I was wondering why that should be the case for now. That can be created, but the issue of insecurity posed by bandits and terrorists and militia herdsmen around the farming communities, that should be the topmost priority of this government. If only they can settle that. People are willing to go to farm. Because where I'm saying, many people are coming around looking for cassava sticks. My neighbor that used to sell cassava sticks, you see people coming with jeeps and fanciful cars. They want to farm, going here and there. So if that should be encouraged, if people there should be security, people farm, the food is surplus, it will economically it will crash down the prices of food stuff. So that the little you have is not just carrying now. Ojukwu said something some years ago that in his time you would put money in a pocket and buy something you put in a basket that fill a basket. Now you fill your basket with money and buy something you put in your pocket. So the reverse has been the case. So something should be done to increase production. That's my take.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emeka Oji. Thanks for your submission. All right, insecurity should be addressed. I think Nigerians are speaking their minds, and this is on the basis of also addressing concerns about food inflation and food insecurity, which is related to the issue of minimum wage anyway. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you on Perspectives.
Yes, my name is Mr. Jairus Otumala from my level.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Greeting to your guest.
Thank you.
I have about 3 questions for you, sir.
Okay.
Number 1 question. First of all, let me thank you for a wonderful lecture. You have lectured us this morning.
Okay.
You open our eyes and mind to see what is going on. So I thank you so much for that.
Thank you too.
And my number 1 question is this. With all what you have said and with what is going on now in the country, with the labor and workers, where is the position of pensioners? Are they part and parcel of the negotiation to the point of agree on 70,000 naira as a minimum wage? That's my number 1 question. My number 2 question. Don't you think if government can come out with a policy, a very strong policy, well implemented, a solid strategies on ground to bring down the price of things, particularly food and transport? Don't you think it's better than even this minimum wage we are talking about? Because even if they increase from 70 to 100 to 200 or 250,000, still that money cannot take you home. Like my last caller said, in full basket with money, you buy things and put inside pocket. Instead of to put money inside pocket and buy things full basket. So, don't you think it's better in that way? Then my last question. With all that has happened, this country, to help this country, to help the masses out of this present predicament, we are facing. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Jairus. We appreciate you. We'll try to respond to some of your questions. All right, go away. Anyway, you are being commended for giving a lecture. We are discussing, not a lecture in particular. One more call, then we'll come back to the issues. Hello,
Hello?
good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir, Mr. Nathaniel.
Thank you for joining in on the program.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Vincent Ako. I'm calling from Wadata.
All right, Vincent.
Yeah, my regards to your guest in the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to ask him one question. Your guest said that the Nigerian labor say, let us not cripple a man that has already crippled himself. And he has already worked with the labor before. So I don't understand. He should try and then throw more light on that statement. That he said, the labor say, let us not cripple a man that has already crippled himself. I do not understand. He should throw more light. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Vincent, thank you. Maybe that was a figurative expression, but you put it better for Vincent to understand.
Yeah,
let's start with the concerns of Nigerians, people who feel concerned that labor may have compromised, may have.
Well, I said earlier, when you go for engagement on salary and wages, you look at indices that are available. In this case, the old minimum wage was, I think, 30,000. 100% increase and above has been applied. Government may be applying percentile, but the root cause of this agitation is not under normal circumstances where things rise up. It was because of the policy of government which called for the removal of subsidy and allowing the fuel market to be in the lateral market economy. By that, it affected every facet of the Nigerian economy, from transportation, healthcare, power, and other things. There are other indices government introduced accompany this. High taxation. In fact, more companies have left Nigeria because of high taxation. Now, the issue of compromise on this negotiation will be placed on table because people who have not gotten themselves engaged in negotiation will just adjust that. This negotiation you are seeing as normal, it's not normal. At times there's even threat to life. Let me tell you, at times they even threaten, there is threat to life. You want to cripple your economy. We know that you're working for the opposition. The opposition has sponsored you. They said a lot of things about that, but don't care. But the whole thing is that when you go for engagement, you go for, you give and you take. Government may have presented a particular statistics that may not be true. And government may not have had the particular experience the common man in the village has. Labor's agitation will be based on experiences and feelings of the people. That is why they brought that percentage outside. Say pay us 750,000. And already, if government had insisted that we will not agree, when you embark on a strike and you observe that your people are becoming tired and weak, you suspend the strike. Because if that strike is punctured, the following day you will call, nobody will come out. When you know that the people are getting tired and there are other forces that are putting pressure on you, you have to do what? You say fight, you go back and fight another day. Now, I don't think and I don't want to believe that there was that type of compromise as being speculated. If you look at the federal government came and started crying, hey, there's no money, hey, there's no money. The only thing that made people feel that there was money was because when government started spending money on luxuries, buying cars for people here and there and there. The federal government was doing that, buying yachts, and people say, you were saying there is no money, and we have seen that there is money. That is why the agitation came. The agitation didn't just come immediately after the government made that pronouncement. Labour watched and saw the body movement of the federal government, and the federal government was hiding something. That is why they came for that agitation. And when they came for the agitation, you also remember that at a point in time, they even said accused Labour of aligning with a political party. Having failed, they are coming back to reap from their flesh. So at point in time, you understand that when Labour gives in, it is not necessary that they have compromised. They look at other indices, they look at the support group who are giving them support to enforce whatever decision they are taking. If those groups begin to advise, this is enough, you have gone too far, you have gone this much, please, it's better for you to come back and fight another day. It is at that point in time that you have to reason. There is no foolish man, it's only a foolish man who will fight a war and you see that you have run out of ammunition and then you will still go ahead. That one is suicidal.
All right. So, in essence, you are establishing clearly that Labour was not compromised, but they came to a middle ground between them and the federal government.
That's what I think.
All right. So, let's address the concerns by Jairus Otomola. Where is the position of the pensioner in the whole of the new minimum wage issue?
Well, when negotiations are made, the negotiations are made in two frontiers. After completing that of the working civil servant, you go back to review the wages of the pensioners. You observe that if that is not done, it's going to affect the pensioner. You look at, even in Benue State, there are some people who collect pension of 4,000 naira, some 3,000 naira. Because when negotiations were made, pensioners were not carried along for their review. And when pensioners are not carried for their review, they take the old rate and grow with it. So, as you have said, NLC or organized labor will have to go back, engage government to review the earnings of the pensioner. That is what is normally done. And I think they will do that. Because if they don't do that, just like the other pensioner was crying, it is going to affect them, that category of people. For those who are retiring after the implementation of this new minimum will not suffer. But those who retire before will suffer. So there is a review reflected back that will now take advantage and cushion the effect of those who have already retired. I think Labour will do that because it is a must for them to do it. We have done it over the years. And they will think, and I want to believe strongly that they will also do it.
All right. He also asked, you pointed it that, don't you think for the government to have come up with new minimum wage of 70,000 would have been just better to address the issue of food, inflation, and transport rather than even the 70,000 naira with these areas, if checked, actually.
In my opening statement, I said that. I say it is government who invited this trouble. If government had put in place a template of addressing these other things that has beclouded Nigeria negatively, there would have been no agitation for minimum wage. Assuming agriculture was functioning very well, assuming government say we are going to bring back the railway because it's going to minimize costs and then save our roads. Assuming we are going to do this, that. The issue for agitation would have been. Labour didn't beg. Labour didn't come out and tell government we want minimum wage. It was government policies that compelled Labour to advance this cause. Government took a decision without considering these factors that have taken charge of our economy and made a policy. And that policy made, say, if we don't make that policy, Nigeria will die. So there must be a surgery. So that surgery, if you are carrying out surgery, anesthetic must be given to reduce the pains. So invariably, government had generated a policy directive, made a policy declaration, and they has started working towards it. So Labour had no option to stop a policy of government. Labour can only protest that policy. And by protesting that policy, Labour developed that, okay, this is what you are going to do. It is not only salary increase that Labour presented before federal government. Labour said, make sure that refineries are working. Make sure that you have fixed the roads. Make sure that buses are important in this country. There are a lot of things, but what goes higher is the salary that everybody is here. There are many demands that have been put before the federal government for consideration, which include agriculture and this issue of insecurity too. They were all included in that negotiation. So, but what is very important is what people take home, which is the salary. If not, if you look at the content of the demands that they were presented before government, is more, not only salary. They talk about agriculture, food security. They talk about repairs of roads. They talk about fixing the refineries. They talk about dropping tax, excessive tax burden on the goods and items and things like that. All these things were taken forward. If you look at the document and the agreement that had been reached, it's not only salary that is inside. So as he said, if you were government, if government had asked us what to do, we would have advised government. But government came, he said, I met a sick child. And the sick child I meet, I must carry out an operation. Already the child was in the theater. And they started operation. Then the pains came. They had to give a relief to it.
Okay, let me interrupt you for this call. We'll come back. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives. Please move away from your radio set.
Yes, my name is Anyufa. I'm calling from behind the industrial layout, Naka Road.
Okay, did you say Anyi or Hangi Yofa?
Anyi.
Okay, Anyi Yofa, good to have you on the program. Please go ahead.
Yes, my greetings to the guests in the studio.
The challenge we have is you are close to your radio set and it is interfering with our communication. So if you move away from it or you turn down the volume, that will serve us better, please.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
All right. I wanted to ask, now we were talking about the minimum wage, but some of us I'm a graduate, but without the work, I'm into agriculture. Like this year, I've gone into rice farming, but the cost of the chemicals and the labor that I have to employ for those who work for me, I am documenting every cost. And at the end of the day, I will have to get a profit out of my investment. So the blame was like people are not patriotic that they need to do their quantitative, but I think every investment requires a profit. So how do we, who are buying things to produce at an expensive rate, then when we want to get the interest back, at least we'll handle this issue of being patriotic.
Okay, could that be all from you, Yofa?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll speak to it. You sound like one of the the persons who that's okay, Yofa. Thank you. I don't want to say what I should say. We appreciate you. All right, let's wrap up with the concern by Jairus. Then we'll go to the other ones that are still coming. Jairus also asked us to know what the contributions of the organized labor is to salvage the economic situation Nigeria is facing, the hardship. You labor leaders speak. So Jairus is also asking you, beyond negotiating for the new minimum wage, what are you doing to salvage?
Jairus, labor does not generate policies of government. Labor implement policies of government and advises. If government had brought up a policy that is not people friendly, Labour will try to advise. Because if government say, okay, today I have taken the price of fuel from 70 naira to 120, and Labour will go and shut down those places, it will not work like that. Government will Labour will criticize those policies and then advocate ways out, the better options that could be applied to address the issue. Labour is not an organization, it's not an industry. Labour is, as the name implies, different groups coming together to work, to protect the interests of their workers and ensure that Nigerians are not cheated or overstressed. So when policies have been put in place already, or policy decisions have been taken, what Labour does is Labour will protest for a review. Labour will protest and also bring out ways out, better options to such policies. That is the role of Labour. Labour is not a political party, so they cannot begin to confront government on matters of policies and say it's not campaign. When government has taken control of leadership, government advocate policies that will bring a turn around the fortunes of the nation. What Labour does is Labour checkmates to ensure that those policies are not overriding. They don't fall below standard. That is the role of Labour.
All right. So lastly, we'll go to Vincent Akko, who you use a figurative expression that a man who is crippled. You were using that in reference to the federal government.
Yes.
So maybe you want to just simplify it briefly for
yes, for
Vincent to understand.
For the purpose of clarity, we didn't look at the figures. The government said, I met a very bad financial situation of the country. And the only way to go out of this is to remove subsidy. Already government was crying. And when government was crying, he took out out. He did not foresee the resultant effect of that policy statement. It is after that policy statement had been made that government saw that, oh, this statement has brought in a lot of difficulties before Nigerians. And when Labour came in and was demanding for 600 and something thousand or 750, federal government said, if I pay you this, it means that capital project will suffer, insecurity will suffer, this one will suffer, education will suffer. So among the children, you're also one among the children. So it is better you show reasonable concern such that the matter is not overflowed. So already government was in a crying mood. So there was no need to flog government more, but to tell him that certain things were not going the way they're supposed to go. So figuratively, that is why I put it that way.
All right. So Vincent, I hope you understand now. Yofa Anyi is asking us how to balance patriotism and also buying products at a higher rate and also selling in order not to exploit people.
Yes. The farmer who buys fertilizer, some higher land, and these things are cost intensive. In that case, his patriotic part is trying to provide food for the people. But the man who is at the other end to buy is not looking at the sacrifice that person who has not been employed by government has put in some effort to alleviate or cushion the effect. Where we talk about non-patriotism is not from a farmer's angle. There are other people who imported or bought materials 6 months, 1 year behind, 1 year ago, and kept it in their stores. All of a sudden, they move it from the old price to the new price. Somebody will tell me, I call Onitsha now, and they told me that they are no more selling at 120 naira, it's 180 naira. So I have to sell, because if I don't sell like this, I can't buy back in Onitsha. You know, if...
And it does appear that the initial one in stock was not bought at
that price.
All right.
Already you have made more than 100% in profit. That is why they say, for every rich man there is a crime. Because if you don't cheat, you cannot be rich. You must cheat somebody to be rich. It is something that is global, and there is no way you can run away from it. Well, as I said earlier,
well, we at Agate Radio, we don't cheat our clients, but we are just making.
No, you are. This is not a profit-making organization.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Yes, Agate is not a profit-making organization.
Very well.
So you are excluded.
Thank you.
Yes, the other category know themselves, because if you begin to call their names, it will take our time. So what we are trying to say is that if government knows that cost of food is getting high, transportation is getting high, what template does government has on ground for the next 3 months? Yes, it cannot be immediate. You say projectively in the next 3 months, I will make sure that food prices drop. You must have a plan. Am I importing temporarily to cushion the effects while we will wait produce from the farm to be harvested? Now that transportation is very high, how many buses am I going to bring to subsidize and give to people who are going to control cost of transportation? These are the policies government have to evolve, because immediately it will not be possible. Now, to go to the hospitals and medics, cost of drugs is becoming high. Why? Most pharmaceutical companies are packed away from Nigeria because of insecurity and high taxation. Before they go to work, they have to hire security people to guide them to their places of production. After from home, they still protect them, and then government is giving high taxation. So the best thing, you have to go to another country. Government has to put an environment that is very friendly, so that investors will come back to Nigeria and invest and produce very close to us. Cost of vehicles are becoming high. All vehicles are imported from abroad. There is no assembly plant in Nigeria. You go to India, Peugeot has an assembly plant. Mercedes has an assembly plant. All vehicles that are driven in India have assembly plants in those countries. So if the government can evolve such policies, look at how many Toyota cars that are being driven in this country. Toyota, before we buy your cars any longer, you must have assembly plants in this country, so that you are very close to us, you are very proximous to us, so that we can get it at a cheaper rate. Because cost of moving one vehicle from Europe to Nigeria can buy you another car in Nigeria.
All right. Anyway, you are even taking it on the elite level, because how many Nigerians have access to the luxury? But that's okay. Let's engage with a few more calls and take messages and go along. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Adoga, calling from Yakio.
All right, Andrew Adoga, good to have you join us on the program. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I don't have much to say than to appreciate the effort of the labor. You know, they have tried. They are the eyes of the workers. They should continue to help the masses to get through in some of these difficulties. Another one is the issue of this fuel. They should try to disturb government so that everything will normalize. You know, without labor, individual cannot go to government and attack them. So I'm pleading with them that they should not relent. They should continue.
Attack them or negotiate.
Or engage.
Or negotiate.
Engage them.
Engage them.
Yes.
Anyhow you want to put it. So I'm pleading with them so that everything will normalize in this country.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate you. Thanks for calling in. Let's take some messages, then we'll come back very briefly. This one says, the Labour should insist that the federal government increase the minimum wage to 300,000 naira. It should not be 70,000. Teya Songo from Goma. Okay, Teya, thank you. You called in earlier. Unfortunately, Labour has accepted. Maybe that will be after 3 years that they will bring a new negotiation now. In the last negotiation of 30,000 given to states. Some governors refused to pay, but this present government negotiated and agreed to pay 70,000 with law backing it. We believe that civil servants will surely enjoy the wage. But my question is, who has the Bureau of Statistics to stabilize the financial resources and the inflation of our country? The presidency, the National Assembly, with Nigeria governors should join hands to stabilize our economy as they promised to Nigerians. Godwin Yajo from Jumpa in Goma local government. Godwin, thank you for your message. Another one says, the level of our Nigerian economy is of rising inflation, which can be curtailed by black economy. Why the Ministry of Labor and Federal Government buckled down the negotiating? Isaac Otsua from Goma. Isaac, thank you very much for your message. Another one says, good morning, my people in the house. I will only advise the federal government to reverse its decision on subsidy removal, as it was done in error. Thanks. Ayabga Stephen from Joseph Sawantaka University, Makodi. Ayabga, thank you for your message. This one says, price control mechanism is crucial in stabilizing the economy to some extent. Why has the government paid deaf ears, blind eyes, and seem incapacitated to this policy? The instituted minimum wage is clearly not livable. Anything short of 100,000 is a sellout by the labor union. Sellout? That leaves to be interrogated. I am Ondakura Job from George's Quarters Extension, Makodi. Ondakura, thank you for your opinion. Good morning, Nathaniel, and your guests in the studio. It is very unfortunate that after a protracted negotiation between Labour and the federal government, the Nigerian Labour still agreed with the poor 70,000 naira for reasons best known to them. All the same, may God help us. Vincent Akko from Wadata. Thank you, Vincent. May God help us indeed. Okay, in our WhatsApp box, we have messages also here. Let's take some before we come back. This one says, I am Agbe Cosmos from Gado. How on earth do you agitate for about 250,000 naira and the amount granted to you isn't worth half of what you requested and you did accept? I so opine that there should be creation of agencies to check the prices of things in the market, at least mitigate the hardship faced by poor Nigerians. Agbe, thank you for your opinion. Another one here says, good morning, sir. 70,000 naira minimum wage is not sustainable because inflation rate and naira devaluation together with subsidy removed. Until fuel price and food price come down, it's not good, sir. Ehoda John from Otukbo local government. Ehoda, we appreciate you for contributing on the program. And lastly, this one says, okay, that's not part of our program. All right, these are some of the messages we have coming in, and those are the ones we are able to take for now. But, Comrade Jumpa,
yes,
on the part of our leaders, for instance, the National Assembly did announce recently that they will slash 50% of their salary to address a hardship in the country. To what extent would this contribute to solving the economic hardship Nigerians are facing?
You see, the economy of a nation is not being addressed by slashing which be of political office holder. Political office holder, when they slash their salary, is just sacrifice. What addresses economy is policies. If the entire National Assembly slashes their welfare and the policy drive is not addressed, we will still face the same problem. Because cumulatively, if you put all what they have slashed 50%, what will it amount to? Will it be able to pay even one state, one department in any ministry or parastatal? It will not be able to pay. So they should begin to look at policies that will be evolved in such a manner that they may be long term. you have the short-term and long-term narratives. This long-term, the short-term is what they are saying they will donate. They will donate for 3 months or 6 months. After that, what will happen? We still go back to square one. So, if the short-term application is that fine, then the long-term is what? It is the long-term that will have very impactful effect on turning around the fortunes of our economy. They say where we have come from is not as important as where we are. And where we are is not as important as where we are going. Where we are going is more important. So the temporal measure is they want to sacrifice. Yes, it's temporal. Then projectively, what is the long-term plan of addressing this? Somebody said, summarily, bring back the subsidy. In fact, the whole problem will be solved. Yes, if that is done. But government says, if that is done, they will cripple government. So if government knows that that is going to cripple, what is the plan they have on ground? Or what policy do they have to address this decision they have taken? That is what the Nigerian people are asking. So we agree, we accept the sacrifice the legislatures have made as a temporary measure. They should also go back and also sit and think of a more proactive long-term approach that is going to address this matter and then make sure that these sufferings are reduced. Somebody was talking about market control. Government is not producing. What will you control? You are not producing and you want to control what? You control what you have not produced? It's not possible. People are buying from the open market with high taxation. Cost of transportation is very high. Unless you find a means of making this product available, you cannot regulate the products. You cannot transport the products to proximate level so that people who are getting from there you can control. But as it stands today, government is at the mercy of the importers of these items. That is the situation. The market control will not help because government is not producing. And if the people decided I'm not going to sell again, what will happen? Because if government was producing, you say, okay, you will regulate your production line, regulate your distribution, and monitor your retail. But all these things are absent. People are making their individual efforts to bring these things. That is why we say a government policy must be put in place to make sure that production is available to the common man, distributed level will be there, and then retail at that point you can control.
All right. One more call and then we'll come back to conclude. Good morning and welcome.
Hello, thank you very much, Nathaniel. I saw that back online again.
Okay, yes. Very brief.
Yeah,
30 seconds, please.
The issue of the pensioners that Otubala asked, I don't think it was properly addressed. Like your guest said that the labor will normally engage government after the initial negotiation. If that is the case, that's what I've been in place. He himself said that some pensioners even in the state they are taking 4,000 naira monthly. So if they have been engaging government in the past, why are some pensioners still taking 4,000 naira?
All right.
Then in the area of fuel subsidy removal, yes, fuel subsidy removal, I support it, but the local industry, we heard that Dangote is building refinery and built, and the individual.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. We have to end with you now because we are really running out of time already. But I think we should take that opinion, which is stated earlier, that Labour we go back to engage on that, and we hope that that should serve. But Comrade Jumpa, we are out of time. I'll just allow you your parting words. We are in 2024 now. The government said 3 years beyond it will review. Projecting into the future, what should be the minimum wage from 70,000 and above, now that we have adopted 70 as a template? Very briefly.
Well, I particularly want government to address its production level. If that is addressed, in the next 3 years, there will be no agitation. Because if the market force is being regulated before 3 years, you see that tension will douse. There will be no need for any agitation. It is only when government becomes so I don't know how to put it, when government does not give attention to his promise that if government does not do that, in that 3 years' time, prices of things will have gone 5 times higher than what it is today. So at that time, we will not sit now and begin to determine what will happen in 3 years' time.
All right.
3 years' time will tell us
when we get to that bridge,
yes,
we'll cross
know how
it.
to cross it.
All right. This is our program today. I appreciate the former Vice Chairman, Nigeria Labour Congress, Benue State Council, Comrade Emmanuel Jumpa, who joined us here and led discussion on the new national minimum wage and its economic implications. Thank you so much for coming on Perspectives, Comrade Jumpa.
Thank you so much.
Dear listener, we appreciate you for your listenership. We're always here because you are there for us. Join us on Wednesday for another edition of Perspectives. I am Nathaniel Nongu. Have yourself a great week. Goodbye, and I will see you on Wednesday.